Australia is tightening its gun laws after its worst mass shooting in almost 3 decades. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says the country's leaders have agreed to stronger firearms measures a day after a terror attack at Sydney's Bondi Beach killed 15 people, including a child. Mr Albanese convened the leaders of Australia's states and territories, where they agreed to renegotiate the National Firearms Agreement, which could include restricting the number of firearms held by one person. The Bondi Beach terror attack was carried out by a father and son duo who opened fire on a Jewish festival at the iconic Sydney beach. Mr Albanese says the younger shooter had previously been under investigation.
The son first came to attention in October 2019. He was examined on the basis of being associated with others, and the assessment was made that there was no indication of any ongoing threat or threat of him engaging in violence.
The incident has revived allegations that the Australian government is dragging its feet in the fight against anti-Semitism. While Canberra has condemned the attack, many in the Jewish community have questioned its determination to fight prejudice against them. The government's special envoy on the issue says anti-Semitism has been seeping into society for many years, adding that it has not been dealt with strongly enough. Hundreds of people gathered today to pay their respects to the victims of the terror attacks, laying flowers at a makeshift memorial at the scene. Natashya Gutierrez filed this report for CNA from Bondi Beach.
Australia is reeling after its deadliest mass shooting in almost 3 decades. The iconic Bondi Beach, a symbol of life and joy, is deserted and somber a day after the attack that killed 15 people, including a 10-year-old. One of the 2 gunmen also died. The Australian government has declared the shooting as a terrorist attack.
This was an attack deliberately targeted at the Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah, which of course should be a joyous celebration, and the Jewish community are hurting today.
The 2 gunmen, a father and son aged 50 and 24, opened fire during a Hanukkah festival on Sunday. They targeted the Jewish community, opening fire around 6:45 p.m., just minutes after the event started. The gathering, which saw about 1,000 attendees, quickly turned into a crime scene. Beachgoers sought shelter, families hid in toilets and lifeguard houses, and tourists ran for cover, a scene that was likened to a war zone. A video of a bystander showed him tackling the older gunman from behind and successfully disarming him. The younger gunman was apprehended by police and is currently in hospital. The father and son pair were identified as Sajid Akram and Naveed Akram.
And then we were running up behind me, and we could just hear the gunshots, and they're just so loud, and we didn't know which way that they were shooting, so we were like running on the open road.
We thought it was fireworks at the start, and then next second we see people lying on the floor, so a kid gets shot. It was probably the worst feeling I've ever seen.
I saw him shoot the gun, and it just all hell broke loose. There's just people everywhere, kids screaming, people screaming.
The community is quite shaken. People are broken. People are overwhelmed. But at the same time, we're resilient. We find ourselves during the festival of Hanukkah, which is about bringing light. We're not going to allow them to put out that light.
By the time the carnage was over, more than 40 people were taken to the hospital, including some who remain in critical condition. Those who died were aged between 10 and 87. Police said the father had held a firearms license for recreational hunting for 10 years and had 6 licensed weapons. While it's still early days of the investigation, the impact of the attack was immediately tangible. World leaders immediately condemned the attack, with the FBI offering assistance in investigating the incident. Australia is in mourning as flags are being flown at half-mast. Makeshift memorials have since lined the beach of Bondi. As mourners pay respects and leave flowers to honor the victims. This tragedy has thrust Australia's gun laws into question. The country has long been hailed as having among the toughest gun laws in the world, but Sunday's massacre has the government scrambling to understand what went wrong and how they can ensure this will never happen again. In 1996, after a massacre at Port Arthur that killed 35 Australians, government officials came together and banned semi-automatic weapons in just 12 days. The Prime Minister says he's open to instituting gun reforms, while New South Wales Premier Chris Minns is considering recalling Parliament to fast-track new gun legislation.
It's time that we have a change to the law in relation to the firearms legislation in New South Wales, but I'm not ready to announce it today. We want to make sure that prospective reform and change in New South Wales has a lasting impact, but it's not the last time I'll be mentioning it, and you can expect action soon.
Discussions have already started about limiting the number of firearms Australians are allowed to own and how long a license should last. Experts have pointed out that Australia has yet to complete a national register and warned that weaker laws among the different states have potential to be exploited. Since the 1996 shooting, the number of guns held legally in Australia has also risen, now numbering 4 million. For now, in the aftermath of the attack, Australians gather in grief and in sadness, trying to rebuild from what will be remembered as a dark day in the nation's history. For CNA, I'm Natashya Gutierrez at Bondi Beach, Sydney.
Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong has expressed his condolences to Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese over the shooting at Sydney's Bondi Beach yesterday. Mr. Wong adds that Singapore stands firmly with Australia in solidarity and support. He says he was deeply saddened, calling it, quote, senseless violence that struck a place cherished by Australians and visitors alike, including many Singaporeans. He adds that Singapore strongly condemns the act of terrorism. Such acts, he says, have no place in both societies and undermine peace and security.